All right. I thought today I would do a demonstration on creating the illusion of transparency and reflection with glass. So I have my setup that you see on the right. And what I like about this is the lighting, so the effect of lighting and the interesting balance in that lighting. So the lighting in the glass itself and the color and how it casts that lighting on the curved white paper to the right. It's also very dark in the background, and so that's going to allow me to pull the lights out quite a bit. Now, this color I chose because it relates very little to the actual scene, and that's the way it's going to force me to use a lot of color. And so this is mainly for your benefit. If I'd started with a purple background, I could have seen immediately what the red is doing against the purple and left a lot of the paper, say around here alone and not had to cover it up. But in this case, I'm going to have to put color everywhere. So I'm going to draw this out in a sort of a sketch. It's not going to be labored at all, and I'm working from general to specific. It's very easy to get caught up with specifics right away, and especially if you're working from photo. I find working from life, since the subject, especially when it comes to figures, from life, that those figures move, right? So what that does is it builds up good habits and forces you to work the whole composition up because you don't know when the figure is going to move. Same thing with working from life when it comes to landscapes. It's always good practice to do some work outside, actually in your environment, because of the constant changing environment. It hones your skills and gets you in the thought of, this is a whole composition, I've got to build it all up at one go. Because you can always slow down later on and put your specifics in. So this glass is at an angle, and so what happens is this gets shorter because it's receding from us. So let me erase out some of this. This pastel is a soft pastel. It's not oil pastel. So it's less like crayon, less oily, and more like a charcoal. That's sort of what the feeling is like. So, to be honest, I began with a random color here. I could have started with red. I could have started with black, which would have been a little too, it would interfere with the other colors. That's why I didn't want to start with black. I could have begun with white and drawn everything out. You can draw everything out with graphite first as well. You just have to be ready for the ramifications of whatever color you choose. So in that way, there's no right or wrong. What is, quote, right or wrong is what your intentions are and choosing the correct approach or color to reflect those intentions. So I'm going to keep going with this color for a moment, just a moment, and map in my shadows. So anywhere where I see it's dark, you draw glass, go back to front. So I'm drawing through the glass. So you notice I'm still working the whole surface up. It's still very general. So I become more and more accurate over time. I'm studying the subject, but I'm also preparing it. I'm adding a little bit of pigmentation. Not getting too carried away, but adding a little bit of pigmentation, putting the shapes I see in there, so mapping in the structures, but also preparing it in a way that allows me to understand the values better, especially when I put my lights in. So the best way to do that is to put your darks in so you see that contrast. This is a nice combination. So sort of like a fire engine red. Let's see, right here, the fire engine red, which is a standard red mixed with the black, is what I'm doing here. This is that red and black mixed together to make kind of a maroon. So let's move, I'm going to move this down right here. Why didn't you tell me this was way off? I need a little impact, a little bit of color, contrast here, value contrast. So I'm putting my background color in so I can see a little bit more clearly these values. So I have to draw through the glass. So I want to put this in. It may be too soon for this, honestly. But again, I want to see the value relationship, so I just want to pop this out. Okay, in order to make this background, I'm going to draw this pink color in. And then I'm going to put a purple over the top. So that's a good kind of wash of pink. And I'm satisfied with that for now. But even now, I'm still thinking in terms of general to specific. I don't want to get bogged down. A lot of effects to put in. Effects of light, effects of blended soft edges versus sharp edges. Now, I want this to be soft right here. It's inside the glass. I don't want it to be extremely sharp. If you look at the photo, you can see that it's kind of quiet right here. It is in here as well. See, this is why it helps to have a little bit of material down here. I had my dark blue down there first, and now I can bring my finger over the top of it. I can kind of mix it in with my finger. What I'm actually doing is I'm kind of removing it, putting it in my hand, putting it back in my hand here. I'll have to fix that edge here, the rim. Often for effect, I will darken it right before it gets to the highlight. So the highlight, when I put it in, looks that much lighter. All right, now the background has to be pushed back. It's extremely black, right? So let me do that first. It has a little hint of blue in it. So I'm gonna grab a navy. I'm going to start, but I'm going to start with black. Put an edge in and draw it out. There are a few telltale signs of, or things you should do in order to create the illusion of glass. One is reflections. Two is refractions. So as one thing goes in, you know, an object passes through the glass, it shifts. So refractions. Softness. As the glass turns, it turns so quickly. There's some foreshortening, and those colors really shift quickly. And making sure you go from back to front. Now I am putting color in and leaving it. I'm not doing much blending with my fingers. I see a little bit of red. I see a lot of colors in the rim of this glass. Just get a sharp edge there and blend it away. Blend it up so that it feels like it's backlit. Same thing down here. Erasing out. This way it allows me to make the rim a little thinner as well. Let's work on the foot. I've been kind of ignoring that. I don't want the foot to draw much attention to itself. It's more important that it's in the right perspective. But usually when I draw feet, the foot here, I usually try and do it with less rather than more. Hint at it. But just look at the shapes of light and dark. Often what I try and do is create shapes with the negative space here. See how I'm even now still shifting the drawing. It's always wrong. It always needs to be corrected. So when you go from general to specific, you can't trust what you did before. Feel free to go back in and modify it. The main thing I'm doing now is I'm kind of slowing down and trying to be a little more delicate with my marks. Because at some point, it's not going to accept the material anymore, or I'm going to muddy it up. Yes, I'm bringing green in here. Now as I work it up, I'm starting to see new colors. Nice thing is green is the opposite of red. It's the complement. So making this a little bit of a greener white can hopefully make the red stand out even more. I think that's brighter. One way to enhance that is darken just behind that light a little bit. That whole front surface there. And add a little bit of light that reflects into the base of this. Hopefully that helps you when you're trying to create the illusion of glass, translucency, or transparency, as well as reflections. Now, just to wrap it up, what I try to do is draw from back to front, go from general to specific, soften the background, sharpen what's in front, as well as push the colors so that the lights are sitting on top, and sometimes playing a little bit with complementary contrast of warm green here, for example, and the red, just to give it a little more zing, as well as adding some texture that's outside the actual image itself to make it a little more interesting and painterly. All right, hopefully that helps. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.